Good morning. I always say good morning. It's noon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon out there. How is everybody doing? How is everyone doing? Hello, how are you? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. With just a few seconds, we kind of shifted a bit here, so I'm hoping I don't, let's see, miss anyone. I did go on Periscope to let folks know that we are on here, so I'm hoping that they will jump right over. They will jump right over. So hey, I wanted to talk to you all about a subject that needs to be talked about. A subject that is really one of the reasons why so many marriages fall apart. So many marriages have issues and problems because they cannot seem to master this one thing. Good morning. Good afternoon, Mika. Hey. Can you please share? Hey, Deborah. Yay. Yeah, I'm trying to share on other platforms. I have my other device here. Hey, Toya. Hey, girl. Thank you for coming in. Hey, Jaquetta. Hey, hey, hey. I appreciate you all. Good morning. Good afternoon. I keep saying good morning. For whatever reason, I'm still thinking it's morning. Good afternoon, Kenyatta. Good afternoon, Simonia. Thank you for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I was just saying how the inability to communicate with our significant other, our husbands, is one of the reasons why so many couples get divorced. Because look at it. If you're not communicating, number one, or if you're not communicating effectively, right? How in the world would you be able to build a healthy relationship if we can't even talk to one another? Or if every time we have a conversation, it turns into an argument or it gets heated or, we're doing things or saying things that we shouldn't be doing. How can we build a successful relationship if we can't even talk to one another? Think about it even in your workplace. If you can't talk to your boss about certain issues and problems that you have, how can you move forward? Hey, Sonia, thanks for joining. I appreciate you coming on for the first time. Yay. Welcome, Sonia. You all welcome, Sonia. You know what I'm saying? Even with your children. And these principles that I'm going to share, these can be implemented across the board. So anything that I share, and that's why I always invite my single women in. I invite my, my single moms in, whoever, because these principles and things that we share can be shared across the board in different areas of your life. It's just not, oh, if you're married, use this. No, you can take these very same things and apply them to your relationships with your best friend, with your parents, with your children, with your boss, and things of that nature. So they're universal practices and principles that you'll be able to use. Thank you all for making her feel so welcome. So, I had to learn that because I, as well as I can communicate in so many other areas, it was hard for me at first to communicate with my husband because I wanted him to do certain things or to say certain things the way I felt that he should be saying it. Hey, LaShaja, how are you? Hey. So, and that was hard for me because I was a little controlling. So if he didn't say it the way I felt he should say it, or if he didn't do something the way I felt it should be done, then I would say something about it. I would not hold my tongue, and I would not have the best tone of voice. I would not have the best attitude about it. I would not have the best mindset about it. I did not consider his feelings in the moment. I did not consider how it made him, made him feel disrespected. And what I found out later on is that the way that I was communicating or attempting to communicate with him was I was coming from a disrespectful place, although I didn't mean to be disrespectful. But the way my tone was and the way I addressed certain situations, it came off disrespectful. And I don't know about you all, but the main thing that men, that they appreciate, that they value, is to be respected. That's one of their strong desires. They have a strong desire to feel respected. And when they don't feel respected, then they cannot in turn make you feel as if you're loved. Does that make sense? So when you're disrespecting him, come on, thank God, Jaquetta. Okay. When you're disrespecting him, in turn, he's going to respond in an unloving way. Hence, then that's when your feelings get hurt. You know what I'm saying? You guys go in a downward spiral. You're not talking. There's tension in the home. You know what I'm saying? You're being at odds with one another. And that's how the enemy comes in. That's how the enemy comes in, because he used little things to be able to come in and upset the atmosphere in your home. So you have to be aware when you and your husband are at odds with one another. And it's okay. We all get on this crazy cycle. We all get on this weird place, regardless of how long you've been married, regardless of how great you are. We all have conflict, and we all have things that we struggle with or deal with or are faced with. But it's our response and our reaction that's going to make all the difference. So I want to talk to you about 10 strategies. And if you have not had a chance already, please go ahead and get something to write with so you can write down these things, make some notes. And listen, when you all take these notes and look at them later on, further study if these are areas that resonate with you. Get deeper in the word. See what the word of God says about us communicating one to another and submitting one to another, because there's a scripture in the word that says that we are to submit one to another. We are subject one to another. We are both equal in the sight of God. Yes, our husbands are head and the head of our homes and the leaders, but in God's eye, we are all equal, but we're different. Yes, it is hard. It is hard, Jaquetta, especially if you've used, I was a single mom for 16 years until I married my husband. A single mom, a very successful person, educated, well-rounded, came from a great family. I knew who I was. You know what I'm saying? I was doing things, making things happen in my own life. So when I got married and my husband's ways weren't necessarily the way I would do things or he didn't speak the way I would speak, then I would get offended, number one. And then I felt the need to respond the way I wanted to respond. And then that caused us just to be at odds with one another. And that's not good. That's not good being in a household. You don't even want to talk to one another. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be involved with one another. Then, come on, I'm going to talk about that probably next week. And then that affects the bedroom activity. That affects intimacy. That affects you guys being able to connect sexually. You know what I'm saying? If we're at odds with one another and we're not talking to one another and we're biting each other heads off, strong will, come on, Kenyatta, yeah. And those things, so we have to understand, even if we are these things, we can be strong will, we can be all of these things, and those things have their place. But we have to understand that when you're in a marriage covenant and when you're dealing in certain situations, you can't apply those same rules. Every rule is not applicable to every situation. So whereas I may be strong-willed and I know my truth and I know who I am, I'm not easily influenced from the outside world. When it comes to me communicating with my husband, I cannot have that strong-willed attitude in that situation. And that was me. I can't have that strong will. I can't have, I'm a leader. You know what I'm saying? I'm this, I'm that. I can't have that attitude in my marriage. I have to submit. And submit is not being a doormat. It's not him telling you what to do or how to do it. But it's basically being subject to his authority, because as a husband, he is the authoritative figure in the home. And if you felt like you can't submit, why did you marry him? Why did you marry him? You choose him. Hey, Kimberly, you chose him to be in your life. You chose him as your life partner. And you mean to tell me that you trusted yourself to choose him, but you don't trust yourself to submit to his authority? You don't trust yourself to submit to his leadership? You don't trust him enough or trust yourself enough to submit to his decision-making ability? Those were things that you should have figured out before you got married. That's not the time, once you're married and once you're trying to build a life together. Come on. You got to get away from that, Deborah. Me too. Me too. And then you have to ask yourself, Deborah, if I'm getting defensive, why? You know what I'm saying? Is what he's saying to me somewhat true, even if he may not saying it in the manner that I desire? So then you have to go back deeper, because there's always a deeper issue there. And I haven't even gotten into 10 things yet. There's always something deeper there to make you get defensive. Did you feel like you always had to fight when you were younger? Did somebody abuse you mentally? You know what I'm saying? Emotionally when you were younger? Or, in another relationship, or even sexually abused. So we have to look and see, okay, why am I getting defensive? Me, the reason why I used to get defensive, because I was in a very abusive relationship where somebody physically and verbally abused me. So what I did in that relationship was fought back with my mouth. I put up a guard. I put up a shield. So that's what I did, because that was my only way of protecting myself. That was the only way of me not causing, danger to come to myself in any other regard. You know what I'm saying? So that was my way of blocking and protecting. And although I was getting physically harmed and verbally harmed, I still bite back. I couldn't fight physically of someone that's, 50, 70 pounds stronger than I am, all muscle, but I fought back with my mouth. And I took that same behavior and that same attitude in other relationships I had. Hence, I met a lot of good men. So my issue wasn't that I met a whole bunch of bozos and a whole bunch of men that just were no good. I had a mouth problem. I had a mindset problem. I had an attitude problem. And I will tell you who you were and what you were not going to do. And I would tell you why you were no good. And I would point out every fault and every insecurity about you to make you feel like you were insignificant, because that's how somebody made me feel, right? So you always have to go down deeper. There's always something deeper. So, I would encourage you, Deborah, just to begin to think about those things. And if you already know what those things are, to begin to search the scriptures on those things, where they stem from, and uproot those things. Because you'll never, hey, Arlise, you'll never be able to have a healthy marriage if you don't get to the root of the problem. And some things my husband would say to me, and they were true. And at one point, I used to fight back with him with my mouth. But then at some point, God was like, shut up, listen. And I had to listen. And what he was saying about me was still true. Where I thought I was over certain things, right? I thought I was healed and past certain areas. But no, it came up. When there was a trigger, something that triggered it, it came up. So I had to deal with that thing in order for us to have a healthy marriage and relationship. Right? So number one, let me get into the 10 things. Number one, there will be no non-subjects, period. And what that means basically is, if you were to go and wish, okay, if you and your husband, if y'all may have gone through some turmoil, some type of adversity, or even if something happened in his life or happened in your life in which you guys shared at one point to one another because you trust one another, that's not the time to bring that up when you're arguing. That's not the time to bring that up when you get offensive. That's not the time to bring that up in any situation if you guys already have that off the table. If you guys say this is a non-subject, like we're not talking about this, this is not something that we're going to discuss, and you decide you want to talk about it because you feel a certain kind of way, then you're headed for danger. So when you guys establish certain things that we are not going to, yes, we are not going to discuss these things, then leave it off the table until it becomes a discussable subject. But it takes time with that. Because listen, right, no playbacks, right. Listen, there are things that happen to all of us in the different spaces of our lives. Many of us have been abused, neglected, abandoned, harmed, and things of that nature. And, out of the goodness of our hearts, and in our husbands' hearts, we share with one another of certain things, or sometimes we don't share, and they may just have a knowledge of something that happened. But until they're ready to talk about that, until they're ready to bring it up, that's not for you to talk about that. My thing was, like, I am a very analytical person in psychology. I love psychology. I love the study of the mind. I love to determine why people do what they do. I just love that. Right. And what my issue is that I would try to psychoanalyze my husband all the time. Like I was playing Dr. Ravenel. Like, well, honey, this is why. That was me all day long. And that used to completely annoy him. Because that's not the time for you to bring, display your expertise or tell, to show how smart you are, or how intelligent you are, or even how understanding you are, or even things that God revealed to you. And this is what we have to know as women of God. Even when God reveals certain things to us regarding our husbands, what they're going through and things like that, I had to learn that too. You know what I'm saying? That's not for you to always tell him. That's not for you to always go to him and say, well, God showed me this and God showed me that. And he told me you need to do this and he told me you need to do that. Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You have to make sure that if God is showing you something, you say, okay, God, should I just pray about this situation? What do I need to do with this information that you've given me? Even if you know something, what do I need to do with this information that I have? And a lot of times we take that information and we try to stab our husbands with it. Come on, somebody. I hope I'm not out here by myself. We try to show them how wrong they are, how bad they are, or whatever they went through. You know, we keep, oh, that's why you do that. That's why you did that. You need to be this. You need to be that. That's not the time for that. We have to learn. We have to learn not to do that. Amen. Thank you, Mom. We have to learn. And patience is key. And I was never a person with a lot of patience. And God is still working on me in that area because I'm used to things happening when I want, how I want, and I know the issue. Like I solve things. I'm a problem solver. You know what I'm saying? I like to get to the bottom. I know the issue. I used to do this to my husband. This is the issue. This is the problem. Like I was like in a one-sided relationship because I was coming up with all the solutions, which I thought were the solutions, right? Or how I felt they should be done. And he was like, you're wrong. You're off. God reviews you things so you can pray. Yes. He would tell me that I was off. And I would get real mad. You're so off. You're so wrong. No, I'm not wrong. You're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because we want to be right. That's that bold spirit. That's that rebellious spirit. That's that stubborn spirit. That's that controlling spirit. Come on, somebody. I'm telling y'all. So I had to learn, right? In order for us to have a healthy relationship and a healthy communication, like, even if I knew the truth, even if I knew it, sometimes, I just had to shut up. I had to shut up. I had to shut my mouth. There's a scripture that talks about how the women are supposed to be quiet. And that's not so for us to be silent. But God knew that our mouths are very powerful. You can take a bit and turn a whole horse's mouth just by a bit, a bit to his tongue. So we have to get to a place where we're not using our authority. Yes, we're not using our authority. We're not using the gifts and the things that God has given us for other, spheres of our life. We're not using that to attack our husband and attack the relationship. Because if you're attacking him, you're attacking you. Because you guys are one. So if you're planning his demise by way of how you're communicating with him, you're planning yours as well. Number 2, lead with love. And you guys have heard me. Many of you have heard me say that before. Lead with love. Let me get this scripture. Ephesians 4. Oh, that's my Sunday school one. I was like, where's my Sunday school book at? I'm going to look over that today. Ephesians 4 and 15. It says, okay, let me get this scripture for you guys. And I'm reading out of my Joyce Meyer. Come on, girl. Listen. Girl, listen. That tongue, Kenyatta. That's why I wrote a whole book on Speak Life. Because that tongue, hello. And again, if you've been in a situation where you fought with your tongue will always be your weapon of defense. It will always be your weapon of defense. And I had to learn that, girl, because Jesus. My poor husband. I love him so much. I thank God for him. Ephesians 4:15. Rather, let our lives lovingly express truth in all things, speaking truly, dealing truly, living truly, and folded in love. Let us grow up in every way and in all things into him who is the head, even Christ the Messiah, the anointed one. And when it's talking about press truth in all things truth according to the word of God. Yes, you're going to go get it. You can go to detourmovement.org and get that book. Yes, it's a powerful book. Speak Life, 31 affirmations that will change your life. So when this is talking about the truth, it's talking about the truth in the word of God. It's not talking about the truth, oh, you did wrong. It's not talking about the truth, oh, you're this or you're that. It's not pointing out the truth regarding them or the facts. I like to say it's the truth in the word of God. So because Jesus said love and lead with love, we are to lead with love. So anytime you want to communicate with your husband, ask yourself, ladies, and what I'm about to say, thank you, Deborah, is this going to come off loving? And we know before we even say it. And what I'm about to say, do I even need to say really what I'm about to say? Or by me saying this, will this satisfy Will this satisfy something within me? Because I want to get it off my chest. Detourmovement.org. Detourmovement.org, you guys, you can get the Speak Life book. Come on. Yes. Or Amazon.com. You want to get Kindle, you can do Amazon. It's on Amazon as well if you just put in Speak Life, Treal, Ravenel. God convicted me that I was able to be bossy and not helpful. Right. I'm hurting so much. Yes. And you know what? When we're bossy and stuff like that, our husbands don't even want our help. And then you wonder why you feel insignificant. You wonder why you feel like you're not, adding anything to the marriage, because he's like, I don't even want to deal with you. Because men communicate differently, y'all. Like, we want to talk and say things and express ourselves all the time. That's not how they communicate. And if we don't communicate in an effective manner toward them, they shut down. They shut down. They'll walk away and not even talk to you for the rest of the day, because they have to process. Thank you, Kenyatta. They have to process what just happened. And what happens with that, because let me tell you what I used to do. My husband used to shut down. And I didn't know he was processing. I just thought he was ignoring me at this point. So then what happens? Blah, 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 blah. Right? Because I'm thinking, why are you ignoring me? You don't hear me talk. This is my head and everything, y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all. My flesh is petty. I told y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's why I can stand on this platform, because I've been there. And I'm still learning and I'm still growing. But Lord knows I am like 100% better than what I was. So while he's processing it and he's just ignoring me at this point, what I felt, then I go ham. Because I'm like, I'm not trying to be ignored right now. I'm trying to get a point across. I'm going to need you to hear my point. I'm going to need you to listen to what I'm saying and not ignore me. Okay? And shut down. And my dad used to do the same thing with my mom. Like, he used to shut down and would walk out the house. And we're like, where's dad going? But not understanding the way a husband communicates, a man communicates. Men, we don't communicate the same way they do. But women, we will talk with one another. We will share our feelings. We will share our emotions. We will share our hurts and our pains and our vulnerabilities. Men don't do that to us. They may do it with their homeboy. And there may get to a point in your marriage where he may share some things with you, but they just process things differently. And that's what we have to learn. So we have to lead with love. So ask yourself, okay, am what I'm about to say even necessary? Right? Am I saying this because I need to get something off my chest? I feel a certain kind of way and I need to express it to him? Or it is something that definitely needs to be discussed? And then you ask yourself, what I'm going to say, is it going to be in a loving way? Or if somebody said this to me, will I accept it in love? Or will I reject it because of the way that they said it to me? Okay? So ask yourself that. Number 3, oh my God, y'all. This was my major thing. Timing. My thing is like, every time is the right time. It happened. Let's talk about it. I'm telling you, I got that bossy. I feel you on that bossiness. But thank God for deliverance. They continued delivering process and continuing to check me. Bless the Lord. Wow, Kenyatta. But now you know. I needed myself 5 years ago, girl. Hey. Yes. Oh my God. Hey, sister. Camille. Okay. So timing, y'all, let me tell y'all, when something happened, I was like, let's talk about it right now. We all tense, everything tense, right? We already at odds one another. So I'm thinking we need to still talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's get to the root of the problem. Let's deal with the elephant in the room. You're not going to just not talk about it. My husband would be like, girl, you are crazy. I'm like, no, we need to get to the root of the problem. We need to get to the root of the issue. This is why this is happening. This is why this is the way it is. This is why blah, 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 blah. Men don't respond to that, y'all. My husband used to look at me like, are you serious right now? But I had to learn that. And then one time he told me that. Come on. Why is that wrong? Because timing is everything. Because it might not be the right timing for you to discuss that situation. There's nothing wrong getting to the root of the problem, but it depends. Like if you guys just had a heated argument, or if something just happened and he may not be in the best mood or attitude, or you may not be in the best mood or attitude, it may not be the right timing to discuss that issue right then and there. It's not that you can't discuss it. Because what I had to learn is that I had to come back, or even give my husband a heads up and say, honey, there's something that's really bothering me. And I want to know if we can have a conversation about it. Can we have a conversation probably later on this day or later on the week, and just schedule a time to have it so that way he can prepare? Because again, you have to realize that men process differently. They think differently. How they operate is differently. So whereas we always want to get to the root of the problem and thinking that we can talk about it right now, right then and there, because that's who we are, how God made us, they're not necessarily like that. You have to understand men are dealing with so many things. They're dealing with the fact against the enemy, right? The enemy's within their own self. They're dealing with, just trying to take care of their family, be the husband, be the leader, be the father, and all of these things. They have a lot of pressures. Not that we don't, but they're just built a little differently. God just made us very special, right? So the way they deal with life, they're one-track minded, and they're very straight to the point, very black and white. And a lot of times, we come in with all our concerns all the time. There's always an issue. There's always a problem. Right. There's always a issue. There's always a problem. And we're always wanting to talk about it all the time. That's not the right thing to do. It's just not the right thing to do, because you have to wait for it to be a right timing per se. Not that you have to walk on. I'm not trying to, but it's not trying to hear. Discuss and lead it. He shuts down probably, Camille, because of how things were handled in the past. So that's probably why he shuts down, because here we go again. In our attitude, let me tell you, because we can say, okay, he shuts down, or let's discuss it later. But you have to think about, okay, how is your attitude even when you're wanting him to discuss it later? How are you even projecting yourself? How are you coming off? You know what I'm saying? Even how are you leading up to that? Do you have attitude around the house? Are you snarling around the house? Are you, turning your head, shaking your head, cutting your eye? You know what I'm saying? So all of these things play a part, because you can say, okay, I'm changing and I want him to be able to talk to me and I want him to be able to express himself and, blah, blah, blah. But how are you leading up to everything else? Even when he might not be coming off as loving, even when he might not be coming off as sensitive to you, are you responding to that and then still wanting him to have a conversation about an issue that you guys have or a problem that you guys have? You know what I'm saying? Right. So, and even you got to think about what he probably dealt with in the past, past relationships, or even growing up, of how he was able to communicate or not concerning certain things, or what may be points for triggers for him, what may be pain points for him. You know what I'm saying? Because they're still learning and growing. So you got to think about all of these things. What if he was in a situation where his dad abandoned him, or his dad used to fuss at him all the time, or abuse him, verbally, or even his mom, or even another relationship, or he was always looked at as a nobody or as a failure. And that may be some growing or things that he has to deal with. So understand this. Just because they're men, that doesn't mean that they don't have vulnerabilities and they don't have weaknesses and they don't have things that they're still trying to fight through and deal with on their own. So we have to take all of that in consideration. And not think because now we're healing whole and we're in a place of we can communicate, or we should, we want to communicate with them, that they're just ready to do that. There's always reasonings behind things. There's always a deeper thing. Deeper, I don't want to always say deeper rooted issue, but there's always something else. You know what I'm saying? More than often than not, that's going on. But even that, Camille, if you're trying to come across, you don't have to try to come across loving. Because of the love of God resides in you, you automatically come across as loving. So maybe for you, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, come off more authentic. Don't try to be anything. Just be. Just do. You know what I'm saying? And allow things just to organically happen. Sometimes just say nothing. Stop thinking about all the things that are wrong in the relationship. Stop thinking about all the things that is wrong with him. And really ask God, because I had to do this, Lord, allow me to love him, to see him the way you love him and the way you see him. I don't want to think about all of the things that we have going on. I don't want to think about what he said or what he did. I want that to be eradicated from my mind, because that's going to change my response. Even when I try to come off loving, that's going to change my position when I approach him. Because in my mind, right, subconsciously, I already feel a certain kind of way. I already feel a certain kind of way because we're at this space right now. I already feel a certain kind of way because you were insensitive toward me. I already feel a certain kind of way because we seem to not be communicating right. I already feel a certain kind of way because I'm looking at other people in marriages and they look like they're having a great old time and we're just, going to all but one another. I'm already feeling a certain kind of way because I feel like I'm walking in my purpose and my calling and you're not supporting me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that that's your truth, but I'm just saying some suggestions. My husband is the one who's always ready to communicate it. Wow, that's different. I'm Deborah. Okay. Yeah. Deborah, that's different. That's totally different. And that's fine. So then you have to play the reverse role. So then you have to understand how he may feel, right? In this instance, because it's opposite ends right now. And why is it that you shut down? You know what I'm saying? So even with that, Deborah, ask yourself, like, why do I shut down when he's ready to communicate? Was that a barrier for you in the past? Was getting your message across a problem? Did somebody shut you down? You know what I'm saying? It made you feel like you didn't have a voice. So go back to those things and say, okay, why don't I want to? Because you have to be able to talk. If you don't talk, nothing gets resolved, right? So number 4, get to the point. Get to the point when you're communicating, when you do have an opportunity, you guys make that time to communicate with one another, get to the point. All that fluff, we'll over explain, we'll over exaggerate, we over talk sometimes. Over talk. And I'm gonna tell you right now, men are one track. They're like, okay, what are you trying to say? Me too, I can write better. Right. What are you trying to say? And even if that can, find out where that aggression may be coming from. Find out where that aggression may be coming from, and you may want to just start to observe, evaluate, okay, am I aggressive? Do I come across as this? Do I come across as this? Record yourself. Do I come across as aggressive? Even with your children. Ask people that are close to you. They'll be honest with you. They'll be honest with you. We don't want to be cut dry, but we want to get straight to the point. So you don't want to just be choppy, but you just want to, like, if he's asking you, okay, honey, what's the problem? Well, remember when you did this, and then last week this happened, and you just start on all these other things and trying to build your case. Just say, well, honey, I feel like you're not being loving toward me. Instead, it's giving him a whole backstory of why. You know what I'm saying? And then if he says, well, I'm not sure why you might feel that way, because I do try to be loving toward you. Can you give me an example? Give one example. You don't have to give the examples for the last 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Just get to the point of what you need him to do, what you need him to say, or how you need him to say it in a loving way. I process all my thoughts on paper because that's the best way to express. Yeah, I'm a writer too. I'm a writer too. But don't allow writing, because we used to text all the time too. And that's one thing. It's great to text. It's great to write. Okay. And it might be Kenyatta, but what I would do is ask other people that are closest to me to see if your communication, or other men, because it may not be toward your girlfriend or your children. It may be just toward men. I don't know. And I'm not trying to analyze anything, but I'm just trying to get you to think and start asking yourself some questions. What I want to say about the writing, don't allow the writing, though, and texting to take place of verbal communication, because you still need to communicate verbally with one another. So you want to just write, because I'm a writer. That's what I do. So you don't want to just express yourself in writing all the time. You do want to have the opportunity to have those one-on-one conversations, right? So I was saying, get to the point. So basically, he'll understand more what you're saying if you just if he wants more information, he'll ask it. Texting is not wrong, but what I'm saying is that you don't want all of your communication with your husband to be via text. You don't want, especially when you're talking about things that are significant, things that are sensitive. You don't want to go on a text tangent with your husband. You want to be able to have a one-on-one in-person conversation with him regarding certain things. Does that make sense? So when we're communicating, just get to the point of what the issue is, and then keep it moving. Okay. Number 5, if he's not looking at you, he's probably not listening. Because again, if you're going on and on and on, or you're always complaining, always nagging, there's always an issue. Sometimes they just check out and he starts drifting away. And he's physically there, but he's not there. So then what happens with that? Yes, exactly, Jaquetta. You are right. Exactly. It can be. Then you have to try to clean it up. And it's just so much ambiguity there. So then what happens when he's drifting off? He's not looking at you. Number 1, you're going to be offended because he's not looking at you, and you feel like he's being disrespectful because he's not looking at you. Number 2, you're going to feel like he's insensitive because here you are pouring out your heart for the last hour, rambling about whatever, and he's checked out. Number 3, you're going to start getting louder and more, you're going to start attacking more. Yes, he does, and we feel like we are on 2 different roads. You're going to start attacking more, right? So to eliminate all of that, just lovingly go to him and express yourself to him, get to the point, and move on. And if he's not looking at you, that may be the time for you to just start pausing. They do have a short, girl, I know my husband does. He'd be like, honey, what's going on? Honey, what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? men are more shoulder to shoulder. They're not face to face. We're more face to face. We want to be up in your face, have a conversation. Men are not necessarily that way. So again, that's just understanding him in his manhood, how he operates, how he processes, how he decodes information, and that's being able to adjust in that way. Because we're different. And it's okay. It's okay. Okay? So the best way maybe to have that interaction, that conversation face to face is going out to eat. No, I need to say, if he's not looking at you, he's probably not listening. That's what number 5 was. If he's not looking at you, he's probably not listening. And he's probably lost interest in what you're saying. Yeah, he's probably lost interest in what you're saying because you probably have said it already 5 times. Okay, you probably already said it 5 times. You probably already brought the subject up. You know what I'm saying? So we got to think about this stuff. Like, he heard you the first time. Now, because he didn't respond or react to what you said or your concern, that doesn't mean he didn't hear you. Give it time to work. Give it time to work. Because when he checks out and he's, no longer there emotionally for you, that affects so many other areas in your relationship. Again, you're not being intimate. You're not being, you're not being sexually involved with one another. So you don't want to let these little things cause all this bunch of tension and you guys to be at odds with one another. Try to mitigate that as much as possible. I've gotten to the point, I thank God, and I've asked God to help me with this, is to know my husband's moods. If I call him and his voice sounds a certain way and he feel like he doesn't want to be bothered, that is not the time for me to, hey, did you call a plumber? Did y'all heard my plumber story on my other text, on my other live? Did you call what's going on with the plumber? You know what I'm saying? So we got to be sensitive too. So if he answered the phone, hey, honey, but you can tell he's, you know what I'm saying? You know your husband. You should, or should be getting to know him. Hey, honey, just switch it real quick. Hey, honey, even if you're mad, upset, angry about the plumber or whatever. Hey, honey, I'm just calling to check in with you. See how everything is going. And that will shift him. Oh, hey, it's been a little rough today, but I'm getting through it. And then you can say, honey, I wanted to talk to you about something a little later. So if you're up to it, just let me know and we can just have a conversation. Is that okay? Okay, honey. Yeah, that should be fine. Let me just get through this day. And this is a real conversation me and my husband have. Yeah. Let me just get through this day and then we'll touch base later. Okay. Love you. Love you. Bye. Easy. And then later on that day, he'll come to me. Hey, what was that you wanted to talk to me about? You see how that works? But if I had called him and I heard his tone, he's agitated, irritated by something. Not me, because I'm just calling, right? Something may have happened or whatever. I want to talk to you about this plumber because I don't know why the plumber is not here yet. I don't know why we don't have the plumber yet or whatever. We got the plumber, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, that's why timing, Simonia. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to lead with love. That's why you want to get to the point. That's why you have to be able to shift in the moment and be mature enough and not be offended by everything he says or does. And that shows a level of immaturity in you too if you're always getting offended. Why are you always offended? It has nothing to do with you. Number 6. Oh my, this is a good one. Your husband cannot read your mind. He is not a mind reader. Well, he should know how I feel. How? Hey, Juan. He should know how I feel. He should know this bothers me. He should know because my ex did this. He should know because this. He should know. How? He cannot read your mind. And then you get in your own little internal turmoil because you're upset because he's not responding to something and he has absolutely no clue that your feelings are hurt. He just thought he was being straight to the point and telling you what he needs to tell you, but he had no clue that you were going to get into a whole bottle of emotions behind that. He had no clue that, when you were in that relationship with your ex, that they used to tear you down verbally because you decided not to express that to him. So when you get in a conversation with him, you feel emotionally attacked and you break apart. Like, he doesn't know these things. Yeah, they can't. Okay, Juan. See, I got a guy on here. Thank you, Juan. No clue. And we get all upset and in our emotions and our little feelings. And he has no clue what's going on with you. None. Come on. We have to be wise, woman. We really do. We really do. We have to be wise. And it says here, if you're not willing to say it out loud, let it go. So if you're not willing to say it out loud, let it go. Don't internalize. I have this one girl I talk to, and she's always internalizing everything. I'm like, stop internalizing. If you got something to say it. Stop just thinking. And a lot of times we are off, right, Juan? A lot of times what we're thinking or how we're trying to respond to how he responded to us, we are so off. We are all the way in left field somewhere. He did not even mean it that way. Instead of us just saying, honey, you said that. Did you mean? Did I interpret that right? And then if he said, yeah, still don't get offended. You know what I'm saying? Because you still have to lead with love. Like, oh, okay. So we have to learn that, guys. Okay. Number 7, be positive. Hey, sis. Be positive. Be as positive as possible. And I know sometimes it's hard to be positive because you feel like you're in a negative situation, or you feel like the situation, the conversation or whatever is negative, but you have to remain the constant. I always say that. You have to remain the constant, and you have to remain positive, because men don't like negativity, and that shows a lack of confidence and insecurity within you if you're always negative Nancy. Okay, here we go, negative Nancy. She's always complaining about her job. She's always complaining about her family. She's always complaining about her bills. She's always complaining. She's always negative. She never finds anything good in any situation. That's a turn off. That is a turn off. So be positive. And if you are a negative person, then again, there is some other issues going on with you that you need to uncover, unpack. Why am I always negative? Why am I always in a place of nagging? Yes, turn off, and he's tuned all the way out. Why am I always in a place where I got to bring up this situation, or I got to talk about, Jackie and her husband, or what's going on with this one, or what's going on with that one? Why am I always negative? Where's that place? Hey, Deborah. 2 Deborahs on the line. Where's that place coming from? Yes, tap up your mouth. Yes. So let's be positive. And if you guys have a problem being positive, get my affirmation book, Speak Life. 31 affirmations that will change your life, and it will teach you how to be positive. And how you get to a positive mindset is renew your mind. Okay. Right. Like, okay, what's going on? Is my wife back yet? Like, what? You got to joke about it, like, because you got to say, okay, why am I in this place? Why do I come off as a negative person? Why am I coming off as nagging? Why am I always coming off like I'm complaining about something? You never have a solution? You never have anything good to say? You find the bad or the worst in every situation? He doesn't want to hear that. He'll go talk to Julie at the job before he sits down and have a conversation with you, because she just seems like she's full of life. She's full of, positivity. She's full of, the grass is not greener because I'm going to maintenance my grass. She's full of, the cup is flowing over. It's not empty. I'm going to get this cup to flow over. You know what I'm saying? So you got to realize, okay, am I bringing some of this tension in my marriage because of my negative attitude? And if you have a negative attitude because of something that has happened to you, then deal with that. Deal with those issues. Deal with that. Face that giant that's trying to destroy your marriage. Face that giant. Because if not, it will destroy your marriage. Be positive, even if it's a negative thing. My husband is one of the most positive. Oh God, he gets my nerves sometimes. He is so positive, and he is so, nothing bothers him. Whereas everything used to bother me. Nothing bothers him. And that used to make me mad because he didn't get mad. It made me mad because he wouldn't get mad. You know what I'm saying? So learn from that. Learn from, if you have a positive husband, or a person that, a husband that doesn't worry. My husband is so, he don't worry about nothing. Nothing at all. I'm like, nothing bothers you? Like, really? Really? So learn from him, lean from him, and see how he's able to, exist in the world and still go about and make things happen and not be bothered by every little thing that happens. Make the best out of your situation, right? Make the best out of any situation and always look at it from a positive perspective. Number 8, once you've shared your concerns, be quiet and listen. So once you've expressed yourself, give him time to process what you said, right? Right. I love him so much. Let him process what you said and just be quiet. If he's quiet, you be quiet. Hey, Drea. Right. If you, once you said it, once you've gotten it off your chest and he's just sitting there, he's processing. He's decoding. He's not like your girlfriend. He's not going to respond right back to you. Look, come on. Please do. He's not going to respond right back to you. Be quiet. Girl, there was a time my husband, like, I would say everything I had to say, and I just felt so great. I got it all off my chest, and he just sat there. And I'm like, you got nothing to say? And he's like, honey, I'm just thinking about it. You got to learn that. And then he would be like, okay. And that would be it. I'm like, okay. Like, I just told you more than 140 characters, and all you got to say is okay. But what was happening at that point, and not only at that point, he was processing, he decoded, and then he began to implement, or he was sensitive to my concerns because it showed up in other ways. But I had to learn that, right? So I got it, what I had to say off my chest. He sat there for a moment, and he said, okay. Or he tapped my leg, gave me a kiss or whatever, and said, okay, honey, thank you. At first, that used to offend me. Right, Juan, right. But then I had to learn, okay, it's going to show up in other ways. And it did. It did. Because he don't want to sit there and argue with you. He's arguing with the world. He has an enemy that's already out there fighting against him every single day. On the job, if he's an entrepreneur, he's fighting just to make sure that you guys are all right, just to make sure that he can keep you safe, keep you and the family protected and provided for, and all of those things. He don't want to fight with you, but he want to help you as much as he can. But the way he does it is going to be different than what you do it. He's not going to, tell the world, I'm helping my wife, I'm making her feel better, I'm making her life easier. He's not like us. He's not going to do what we do. We got to tell the whole world how we're so great of a wife. Right? He's not that. He's just going to do it subtly and quietly and peaceably and make things happen. He's just going to make it happen. When I started shutting up and I stopped trying to get him and force things out of him, stuff just happened. I'm like, oh, he did this. Oh. You know what I'm saying? And then once he did it, I thanked him. I appreciated him. You know what I'm saying? Number 9. Ooh, this is good. Don't run from correction. Don't run from correction. So, when he's trying to correct you about something and he's trying to show you who you are or how you're showing up, listen. Listen. Don't get defensive. Don't put up the guard. Some do. It's just depending on how they respond, Kenyatta. My husband does. He'll tell me, I just need time. Let me think about it, honey. Let me, I got a lot going on. Let me think about it. Yes, sis, I had to do a self-check a few years back, and I must say today makes 11 years we have been. Yes, absolutely. So listen to him, because you got to understand, he sees you every day. So the same things that your parents probably said about you, your siblings probably said about you, those that are in your space every single day, and they know, who you are, how you are, and how you come off. He's seeing that too, because he's around you all the time. And that's the best way. If you want to display the love of Christ, marriage is the best way to be able to do that, because you're in somebody's space all the time. So it's going to bring up stuff. It's going to, your true self is going to come up. How you may show up on live or Periscope is way different than how you're going to show up in your house. Your attitude may be way different. And women want the answer right. And men are not going to always respond with the answer right away, Juan. You're absolutely right. Let me think about it. Don't run. So if he's telling you like, honey, can I tell you something? I used to get so offended, you guys. He would tell me stuff or say certain things about how, what he noticed about me, or something that I was still struggling with. And he was saying it in a loving way. And that was a kicker. But it was just me not trying to accept it. And he was saying it in a loving way, and I would blow it out. I would blow it out of proportion, because I did not want to hear what he was saying. because I feel like he doesn't have the nerve, he doesn't have the right to try to correct me. And then I would in turn try to correct him in that very moment and tell him what was wrong with him. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Someone say destruction, then they'll say, oh, you don't talk to. Right. Exactly. Your true self, your true authentic self will show up in your marriage. So I had to learn. And even if I didn't like what he was saying at the time, there was a reason why he was saying it. And I had to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, God, is this really still showing up in my life? Am I really that person? And God would be like, yup. You have to trust your husband. If you're with somebody that you can't trust to tell you when you're wrong, when you're right, then that's a problem. So if you can't trust his opinion, and more than likely it's right about you, then that's a problem. Rolanda, hey, sweetheart, I need your picture, honey. I've been trying to get in touch with you. I need a picture from you. Inbox me. So if you can't trust his correction, he should be able to correct you. He's a leader. He's a leader. Stop being so bullheaded. Stop being so bullheaded. Stop being so stubborn. Stop thinking you have arrived. Because he sees you, honey. He sees you. He see how you operate. You know, even in correction and things of what you're doing outside of the home. My husband would come to me and say, honey, you know, you pour out so much. You do this and that. Oh, I'm working for Jesus. My defense. But he was right. You know what I'm saying? Correction is not bad. They're just trying to help you improve and help you to see certain things. Because sometimes we're so far in it. We're so deep in it. We don't want to be corrected because we think we're right. Even just a couple weeks ago, when my husband was correcting me about being on social media. And I got offended a couple of weeks ago, you guys. And he was true. He was right. And he said it in a very loving way. Honey, you know, I'm a little concerned. It seems like you're on social media on your phone a lot. It requires me to be on my phone. I have to be on my phone. Blah, 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 blah. And then, oh, I'm sorry. Right? So stay out of the apologetic zone. When you're not, you know what if you're responding right, if you're learning to communicate effectively, you won't always find yourself having to go back and apologize. Am I right or am I right? You won't find yourself always, oh my God, that was wrong. God won't have to continue to convict you because you're growing, you're learning. So stay out of the apology zone and just take it for what it is. Okay? And then number 10, oh, this is my favorite. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Be forgiving. Stop holding on to what he didn't do. Stop holding on to how he made you felt a year ago or whatever the case may be. Stop holding on to that and just be easily forgive. Colossians 3:13. Easily forgive. Why do we forgive? Because God says that if we want to be forgiven, that we must forgive one another. Colossians 3:13 says, be gentle and forbearing with one another. And if one has a difference, a grievance or complaint against another, readily pardoning each other, even as the Lord has freely forgiven you, you must also forgive. Right. Exactly, Deborah. Yep, sure do. Like, dang, he was right. Dang, God, really? Now I gotta go and apologize? Man, I thought sure I was right. And that's the good thing about having a relationship with God and being sensitive to the voice of God, because he'll check you. He'll check you. But we have to be forgiven. That's number 10. We have to be forgiven. And listen, forgiveness is not earned. It's a gift. He doesn't deserve my forgiveness. He probably doesn't. But if you're going to stay there, if you are committed to being married and you're committed to this being your lifetime partner, then you're going to have to forgive. You're going to have to let go of some things. You're going to have to let go of some things. Are you deserving of God's forgiveness? Ask yourself that. Do I truly deserve God's forgiveness? Have I earned God's forgiveness? No. Nope. So forgiveness. Forgiveness. And that takes both parties being able to forgive and to let go. You got to. You can't continue to hold on to something that's damaging the relationship. Let it go. Get over it. Release it. Hey, Shanice. It's not that they don't forgive easily, and Juan, you can attest to this if you're still on. But once the trust has been broken, it's hard for them to regain the trust, and it does take more time. So they are forgiving, but it's a harder process for them than it is for us. Because we want everybody to get along, we want everything to just go right, and we're just built differently because that's how God made us. But for men, once betrayal sets in, or once something has been done to betray their trust, then it's a process of them getting back to that trusting place. It does take work. Because I've seen some men that forgives really easy, but it is a challenge. Definitely a challenge for them than it is for us. And then we just have to, and we have to do what's necessary to then let them know that I won't betray trust again. I won't take advantage of you again, or your kindness, or your love, or whatever the case may be. I won't disrespect you in that way again. So then we have to take a step back to see how we're contributing to prolonging their ability to trust us, or to forgive us. Yep. So forgive. You know what I'm saying? Forgive. If you have a bitter heart, forgive. Forgive. It's really going to be hard for you to be with somebody if you can't let go of some things. That relationship is not going to work because it's constantly going to be in your subconscious, and it's constantly going to come up in arguments, and it's constantly going to come up, in different situations during the course of that marriage. So forgive. Forgive. You're welcome. You're welcome. So those are the 10 strategies, you guys. So I hope that you take this and be able to do some, deeper digging. Because let me tell you something. Your marriage has a 100% success rate if you do it God's way. If you do it God's way. Understand that your husband is a different species than you are. You cannot expect him to react or respond the way you do, or to be who you are, or to handle situations the way you handle situations. It's not going to happen. Let him be who he is. And then you be who you are. But both parties need to make some adjustments. But even if you have to be first partaker in adjusting, then you do that. Well, he's not doing this, so I'm not going to do. Wrong attitude. See, that's already wrong attitude. You're already going in with a negative attitude, and that's going to prompt the way you react and respond to him. Okay? So, I'll be on, you guys, Wednesdays at 5 a.m., and we are going to be here on Facebook Live at Official Wives Who Win, because Periscope is just not the business for me lately. Hey, Andrea. So if you're not following me here, make sure you're following me. Share this page with anybody that you know need to be a part of this movement. A wife to be. And like I said, even if they're single, like the information and the things that I share is applicable across the board. You can apply this to other relationships as well. So if you know somebody needs to be here, thank you, Deborah, and they have a problem with communication overall, then share this with them. Share this page with them. I did want to say I do have a few Wives Who Win medium black long sleeve tees still available. You can order it right off of the page here if you want to. For those that were on the call last night, you can get the Wilderness Journey here on this page as well. If you want to get that as an electronic ebook, it talks about keys to unlocking your spiritual freedom, and it's $7.99. So if you're interested in either one of those, please go ahead and do that. Hey, Gigi. Hey, we're getting off here, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope I brought some type of enlightenment to you. Had to learn that what a lesson it was. Yes, a lesson indeed. A lesson indeed. I do not have short sleeve, Rolanda, but you can pre-order. So if you're interested in pre-ordering, you can submit that for pre-order, and then I'll get that ordered for you. And what you can do is inbox me. Okay? But I need to get rid of these long sleeves. I need to get rid of these long sleeve ones. You're welcome, Arlise. I appreciate you so very much. So very much. I look forward to June. Yes, talking to you guys in June. I'll have a wife chat session at the conference. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay? And then next Saturday, I'm going to talk about submission, the role of submission, and why submission is important. And don't think that you're the ones that submit. The Bible says that we submit one to another. Okay? So this is not just an attack on the wives. It's getting hot. You can have it for next winter. For next winter. We have winters every year. Awesome. All right, you all. You have a beautiful and blessed day. And I will talk to you soon. Love you all. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it so very much. Bye.